friend. Welcome to the study. It's a nice, warm day with a promise of summer. You might hear a dog panting in the background. That's because my old dog insists on being here while I film. He enjoys his time in the study. Outside, it's very early in the morning. The air is just a little bit cool, but the sun's coming out with the promise of a beautiful day. The birds and creatures are busy. All the leaves and flowers are coming out. And we are going to go to the Isle of Wight and the Solent. I have a little pocket map made out of paper and a plastic coated racing mark chart and the little metal South American letter opener as a stylus. We have a little bit of tapping and swishing noises. Let's start with the Solent. Complete Solent racing chart. SCRA zones with racing marks, names, designates and locations. Up to date local boys' names, designates and locations. Like for like boy representation. Grid lines, coastline. And there are some beautiful racing boats with their nice racing sails coming around the windward mark. On the back we have racing signals and what they mean, with a few dog noises in the background. We have the name of the flag. The flag itself, where it's displayed or removed. Sound signal and the meaning. So at every race there will be a mast, usually on the committee boat, opposite the finish mark, making a finish line between the two. Or sometimes on a fixed place in land near the start and finish. The striped semi-lozenge flag displayed top or bottom. Up is 2, down is 1, so some kind of a horn sound you're waiting for. Means there's a postponement if it's at the top. But this one over the A flag. 2 beeps. This is the race's postponed, put off. Not going to start that day. Over H. 2 signals. Another postponement. All of the postponing 1 to 6 hours. The red is the protest flag. Someone has not followed the rules and resulted in another boat missing out. Protest flag. The B, the C flag. Giant red in the middle, blue, top and bottom. This will be a change of course during the race, so perhaps the wind has shifted enough that the course, the buoys need to be moved, or the course needs to be changed if the buoys are fixed. The L flag, black and yellow check, is the follow me one. We'll be on one of the safety boats. And then the M flag, a white cross, replaces a missing mark. Then we have the blue and white check N flag, the 3 beeps. The race is abandoned. Return to start, and you have 1 minute if it's down below for a restart. With the A flag underneath, the race is abandoned and there's not going to be another race that day. Over the N flag, race is abandoned. And the S flag, a blue square on a white field. The course has been shortened. And this funny looking Y flag. Life jackets must be worn, being heavy seas. There's blue, green, red and yellow flags. The blue for the committee boat at the finish line. Leave the mark to starboard, which means pass the mark. And you're going to be on the port side of the mark. The mark will be on your starboard. Opposite leaving the mark to port. So when you're rounding a mark, which way around you go. And this one, the yellow one, I did it. I'm taking a scoring penalty instead of doing a 360 or 720 degree turn as a penalty. Let's look at the Solent marks. Here you can see a list of all of the Solent buoys and racing marks, their latitude, longitude, and color, and where they're located, and mark identification and name. They all have names. And here you can mark your course in dry marker. The mark name, leaving it to port or starboard. Wind direction. Anticipated time at the mark. Tide direction at mark, very important. Course to steer at mark. And your distance. So here we have Central Solent, Southampton Water, the Western Solent, and the Eastern Solent, and this is the Isle of Wight, Portsmouth, Gosport, Cowes, and up at the end of Southampton Water is, of course, Southampton. Starting from Hamble Point, just outside the Hamble River, we have a South Cardinal mark. Then we have 73 Bald Head, 74 Sposa, Special mark 71, starboard hand, lateral mark, Hook, Coronation, port hand, Black Jack, starboard, Reach, for racing marks here, Cutter, Zeitman, William, and HambleWinterSeries.com, so sponsored racing marks. Port hand, Castle Point. There's used to be a kind of a castle there, and there is Calshot, the giant smokestack that was visible from all over the Solent. Many years was a navigational mark. They just pulled it down last autumn, so it's no longer visible, no longer there. And there we see this zone where the large ships, container ships coming into Southampton, have to turn. It's called a prohibited zone because of these banks here, these underwater shallow areas, and there's more here, and Bramble Bank that can actually dry out at some spring tides. They have to come up this channel across in front of Cowes, where they do a big turn this way, and then to port to go into Southampton Water. It's a big dog leg. So all other vessels must keep 1,000 meters fore and aft, and 100 meters to either side in this turning zone. So then we have all of our lateral marks again. Bourne Gap, North Thorn, East Knoll, Hill Head, and some racing marks as well. Royal Thames, Hamble, WinterSeries.com. I think we did William, Darling Boy, Royal Southampton, Jonathan Jansen. Mike Till, West Knoll, Quinnell, Northeast Gurnard, and our south, Cardinal Mark, West Bramble, surrounding Bramble Bank, marked by Bramble Post, which should be yellow, but is very difficult to see. It's literally a post sticking up out of the water, and very dark grey or black appearing. Deloitte Sailing Club, South Bramble, Prince Consort, North Cardinal Mark, Trinity House, Kingston Marine, Gurnard, Island Sailing Club, Snowdon, James Stanley, Royal London Yacht Club, Xi International, Hamble Yacht Services, Fastnet Insurance, Kilchuman, East Bramble, North Ryde Middle, Southampton Solent University, Norris, South Ryde Middle, Colette, White Link, Peel Bank, and Peel Wreck. So where the Peel sank, there's a wreck there. There are quite a few wrecks in the eastern Solent, which is over that direction. Mackley Fan, Mother Bank, Southeast Ryde Middle, Northeast Ryde Middle, Brown Down, Stokes Bay, West and Stokes Bay Central, Darling Associates, Architects, Kemp Key, and North Sturbridge. And that's our central Solent sailing area. Let's look at the eastern Solent. The Langstone Harbour's there, and Chichester. And there's a big barrier along here, a submarine barrier to stop ships, submarines and torpedoes from the war going through. And there's what they call Dolphin Gap, where small ships can go through. There are the lateral marks for that. And around Portsmouth, of course, lots of racing marks here and here, by Bembridge, and the big forts standing in the water, erected during the Napoleonic Wars. No Man's Land Fort, Horse Sand Fort, and Spit Sand Fort, is now a hotel. Let's look at the racing marks. We have North Sturbridge, which is our North Cardinal mark, going into the central Solent, and around Portsmouth and Gosport. A plan, and PSC Parhelion, Dry Stack, and this looks like a Royal Navy and Royal Army Yacht Club mark there. This is the Mary Rose mark, and the site where the Mary Rose sank. And there are these markers there as well, showing that this water is impassable. Gleeds and our lateral marks. Well, first we have a South Cardinal outer spit, so that's the area that you really have to watch out for traffic when you are racing. We have Ridge, Castle, Boyne, Spit Refuge, Horse Sand Buoy, Saddle, and coming out here, another wreck. The wreck of the Rorey, sunk in 1967. Again, these isolated, dangerous, and safe water, Langstone Fairway. HMS Invincible wreck. Cambrian wreck, South Cardinal mark. Horse Elbow, Warner, St. Helens, Dean Elbow, Horse Tail, Nab East, Nab End, and Nab Tower, Outer Nab 2, and Outer Nab 1, and West Princesa, and another wreck, the Empress Queen. And this is where a lot of ships moor before they come into Southampton. So they sit out here mooring on mooring blocks. So if you're coming around the island or back from France at night, you have to watch out for these ships. Big dark hulks in the water. And over at Bembridge, let's look at our racing boys. Bembridge Ledge, Cochrane, Horton, Tara, Undertine, Garland, Peep or Pepe, Nainby Luxembourg, Footprint, Patch, Fitzwilliam, Britain, Ruthven, Drum, Derek, Jonah, Wreck, Ackland, and Summers. Let's look at the lateral marks coming around into Portsmouth Harbour. Nab End we saw, Deantail, Deantail South, and Deantail Wreck. This one is simply called Yellow Mark. And then we have these over by Chichester. West Pole, Chichester Bar Beacon, Bay, Hard, Chichester, Rizzy, Sparks, WE, and the best winner. Let's move to the western Solent. So if we're sailing round the island, we will be leaving the Solent this way, out through the shingles and the needles, and around the white cliffs. There you can see the western Solent. There's lots of obstructions and dangers here. But if you're a racing boat and a sailboat, depending on the depth of your keel, you might or might not be able to go through. Let's start up in this part. Leap Spit, 7-star transport. Party, Gurnard Ledge, a Cow's Week only marker. East Leap, Dick Johnson, Craft Insurance Company, Elephant Boat Yard, Salt Mead, Newtown East, West Leap, and this is Newtown Creek on the Isle of Wight. Hampstead Ledge, Bart's Bash, Powder Burns, Sweffer, Tanners, Polk Boats, Burthon, Denisons, English Summer Berry Company, Alatex, Caldwell's Estate Agents, Harwoods, Charles Stanley, Charles Stanley Wealth Managers, and Charles Stanley Stockbrokers. Must have a lot of interest in sailing to sponsor these marks. Yacht Haven from Leamington, Jack in the Basket, that is a port hand marking post. Again, literally a post sticking out of the water, but because it's a port hand marker, it's red, and it has what looks like a basket on top of the post. It's a very funny one. Jack in the Basket. Colton, Dunford, Black Rock, Yarmouth Fairway East. There's ferries that go between Yarmouth and Leamington. Sconce, Black Rock. Did we do that one? Hurst, because this is Hurst Castle at the end of this Keyhaven spit. Then we have Warden, Northeast warships and keelboats. North Head, Christchurch Ledge, so this will be Christchurch Bay, more racing there. Mid Shingles, Shingles Elbow, and then coming out into the channel through the fairway, we have the Needles Lighthouse and the white rocks going up to the cliffs. Bridge, Southwest Shingles, and the safe watermark, Needles Fairway, the entrance to the channel into the western Solent. Let's look at a map of the Isle of Wight. It's a pocket guide that I picked up in a marina. So on one side we have a map, and on the other side some tourist ads. Isle of Wight, area of outstanding natural beauty. We have squirrels and beautiful birds of prey. Bridges. You can see the stars sailing there. Are some famous white cliffs at the end. Historic places, lighthouse, wildlife refuges and estuaries, medieval areas, beautiful landscapes, local produce, biofarms and Roman villas. Let's look at the map side. So looking at the largest cities in the north on the Medina River is Cowes, the capital of all the sailing that happens in the summer. East Cowes, where there is a proud history of manufacturing things such as airplanes in the early days, hovercraft, boats, and now the big blades for the wind turbines. In the center, Newport. In the east, Ryde. And Bembridge. Sandown. Ventnor. Yarmouth. Let's see what we can discover. Starting from Cowes. There's the River Medina. Dodner Creek, Dixon's Copse, Whippingham, Wootton Bridge, Wootton Creek, Portsmouth ferry comes. And this is where the hovercraft comes from Southsea near Portsmouth. Springvale, Nettlestone, Osborne Bay, and Osborne House is up here, Queen Victoria's summer residence. In the 19th century, it was very fashionable for wealthy people and nobility to have summer houses, grand summer houses on the Isle of Wight. Then we have Brading, where there's a very interesting Roman villa with a chicken man. This is the River Yar. And there's Bembridge. Brading Down. And Mersley Down. St. George's Down. Oh, this beautiful green area. Sandown, Apps Heath, Sibton Hill, and Ventnor. Ventnor's down there, if you missed it. And here, God's Hill, also coming south. And the lighthouse at St. Catherine's Point, the southernmost point on the island. So, due south in the middle of the English Channel, you'll be able to see the lighthouse at St. Catherine's Point, and south the lighthouse at Barfleur on the Cotentin Peninsula of France. Going west, we have Nitton, St. Catherine's Down, Chillerton, Brightstone Down, and Newport. Westover Down. All of this green area. And Newtown Creek, that was a medieval centre for oyster production, for shells, which were used in many things, and one of them being making a purple dye for the color purple. So the oyster beds there, and at low tide you can see the old medieval seawall. We have East Afton Down, Yarmouth, which is really funny because the River Yar on the Isle of Wight is at the other end. This is another River Yar, and it's not that big of an island. There's some more Roman remains around this area, and some beautiful beaches for swimming. Sconce Point and Alum Bay and the Needles, little white rocks that come out. Scratchels Bay and Freshwater Bay and Afton. let's turn it over and look more closely at what is on the Isle of Wight. Outdoor activities. The island has over 500 miles of well-maintained and signposted footpath and bridleways. Dark skies in places with low light pollution. Millions of stars are revealed at night. Hidden treasures. The area of outstanding natural beauty is full of interesting and little-known treasures. It would take several lifetimes to discover them all. Wildlife. Look at his fluffy tail and cute little ears and little claws. The Isle of Wight is widely recognized as an important wildlife haven. It is a stronghold for the red squirrel. Surrounded by water, the coast and sea have hugely influenced the landscape of the Isle of Wight. The Isle of Wight has long been an agricultural island, growing food and produce for export. Humans have lived on the Isle of Wight for many thousands of years, shaping the landscape and leaving many signs of their activities. The island is one of the sunniest places in Britain and has varied landscapes. Geology and sea breezes mean that it produces a rich abundance of local food and drink. The present-day beauty of the island's landscapes is the legacy of a complex relationship between the natural environment and the human activity of its inhabitants. There are 5 main estuaries on the Isle of Wight, 3 of which are found in the area of outstanding natural beauty. I hope you've enjoyed our little trip around the Solent racing marks and the Isle of Wight. Sleep well, my friend. Be good to yourself.